And next to the microphone, we welcome up our maid of honor, Kirsten Russo.
Hello, everyone. Test, 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 test. All right. So I would like to start. 2 years ago, my brother, Brett, and sister-in-law, Krista, got married, and their reception started with a bird call. So this evening, I would like to start the reception with a bird call. Can I get a cuckoo? Thank you all for your participation. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Kirsten. I have the honor I have the honor of standing up here on behalf of these newlyweds. I'm Nikki's bestie from college, as well as Ryan's favorite / only biological sister. Growing up with two older brothers has been a double-edged sword. They protected me and embarrassed me all at the same time. These two, now men, have made my childhood very unladylike. My typical weekend consisted of riding quads, getting raspberries from falling off quads, playing golf. Sometimes I like to think I outdrove them, being a target when they had nothing else, and never getting the good snacks because they would be immediately eaten right when they entered the home. Time spent with my brothers has been the best childhood experience a girl could ask for. But you can see why I would want a sister. Christmas, my parents would ask me every time what I wanted, and every year I wished for a sister. So standing up here, gaining another one, has truly made my dreams come true. I'd like to recognize Steffi, or as Brett calls her, Ms. Steffi, for single-handedly raising two amazing, talented, kind, and passionate kids. Round of applause. You're a true example of what hard work and determination get you. I'd also like to recognize my mom and dad for being the most nurturing, loving parents any kid could ask for. Thank you always. You did a pretty darn good job raising two spectacular older brothers. We all know who the favorite is, but that's a topic for another day. Nikki and I met in hygiene school. I knew Nikki would be my best friend within minutes of meeting her. Her presence captivates you, and she lifts the energy in the room. She was that bleach blonde in the front, middle seat of class, the student with the 5 different highlighter colors, thick binders, stacked up textbooks, and millions of questions throughout the lecture. I'll praise Nikki for asking the questions that none of us wanted to ask and hold her responsible for making class time longer than it needed to be. We all probably would have graduated a year earlier if it wasn't for her. With that being said, she has transitioned from a dental hygiene job to an amazing career. You make things happen because you're passionate and you put everything into the things you love. I applaud you for your perseverance that never goes unnoticed. Some of you may know this story. Nikki first laid eyes on Rye the moment he walked into our dental hygiene clinic as one of my patients. Poor Rye, sitting in the dental hygiene chair, mouth wide open for 8 hours on end. He now suffers from lockjaw and crepitus. Thanks, Rye, for being the best patient. And sorry. A couple months later, Nikki was selected to give the speech at our dental hygiene pinning ceremony. This is where Rye first laid eyes on her. He saw this beautiful, confident woman standing up there and was intrigued to get to know more. They hit it off that night. From then on, went on a couple dates, couple vacations, moved to Greenwich, gained a furry dog, or son, whichever one, bought a home, and 7 years later, here we are. Nikki, from dancing on walls in Block Island, doing donuts and golf carts, to bringing Bud Light Smooths to a billionaire's house. Time spent with you is unlike anything else. You're compassionate and unapologetically yourself, and I think that's why people gravitate towards you. You put your heart and soul into God and the people you love. That immediate realness invites everyone to be comfortably themselves and fall in love with you right off the bat. Rye, I just love you. Your love for your beautiful wife, your dapper dog, and your family speaks mountains to the type of person you are. You make a happy home filled with unconditional love and support. I've looked up to you and Brett my whole life, and so very proud to call you both my brothers. The love you both have for each other is infectious. Through it all, you guys came out stronger than ever. I pray God blesses you in all different facets of life. Lastly, if you don't already know, Ryan, at age 6, won Cutest Baby of New York State. He has a 6-foot trophy to prove it. Nikki also competed in pageants, and with her hard work and talent, won Miss Connecticut. So if we could all, So if we could all raise our glasses and toast to the marriage of Mr. New York State and Miss Connecticut. You're both a match made in heaven. I love you guys deeply.
And next we welcome up the best man, Brett Russo.
We got a lot of content here. A lot of content. Hello? All right. I think we're good. We're good. All right. No, we're good. Thank you. For those of you who I've not had the pleasure to meet, my name is Brett, Ryan's younger brother. I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Nikki's mom, Stephanie, my mom and dad, Darcy and Tony Russo, and of course, Ryan and Nikki for making this wedding possible. When Ryan asked me to be his best man, I knew I had the responsibility of honoring him with a few kind words. When I sat down to write the speech, I was struggling with where to start. I figured some in the room would know him well, and some not so well. Some of you may look up here and see a strapping young man with a successful business, a beautiful wife, and wonder what kind of path does a man like this take? So let's start at the beginning of tonight's version of the Chronicle of Bones. I've had the honor of knowing Bones for over 30 years, and it's safe to say the first 10 were his best. Simply put, the kid peaked way too early. I wasn't around for the first 2, however, been told they were tough. Searching for a confidence booster and knowing I was too young to enter the contest, my parents thought it'd be a good idea to enter young Bonesy in the Cutest Baby New York State competition. Bones absolutely crushed it. Some would call it his coming out party. Despite beating all the odds and being the only baby in the competition, young Bonesy took down first place and received a 6-foot trophy. Let this be a learning lesson to all you young and soon-to-be parents. You can't put a price tag on your kid's confidence. Bones' modeling career was cut short when he turned down the opportunity to be in Bill Cosby's Jello commercial. He was on top of the modeling world, but wanted to focus his talents on sports. Similar to modeling, Bones excelled at all sports at a young age. He was particularly good at soccer before they put goalies in the net, basketball before they raised the hoop to regulation size, and baseball before they started pitching. Nonetheless, he dominated. Sky's the limit at this point for good old Bonesy. But the historic run had its downs. The performance started dropping off a bit. Most of you probably don't know, but Bones is legally blind in one eye. So he would wear glasses during the day and patches at night, but when he played sports, he never wore glasses. The solution was rec specs. However, further complicating the matter was being a sixth grader and changing school districts. When it's paramount to make a good impression, this guy Bones shows up to the first day of gym class wearing his rec specs, sporting a Ninja Turtle t-shirt. A bully's target, a new kid in school looking like a nerd. So for you visual learners out there, this is Bonesy first day of gym class right here. If you show up to sixth grade looking like this, you might as well tie yourself to a tree and put your whitey tighties over your own head. From my vantage point, I always knew the kid was a little off, but this was the turning point. Up until this point, our relationship was the traditional little big brother relationship where my primary goal was to annoy Bones. When I got to middle school is when our worlds started to merge. His friends became mine, and mine became his. Looking back on it, I think Bones and I would both agree those are some of the best days of our lives. Summer days were filled with either playing sports, riding four-wheelers, and if Kirsten wasn't available, using the neighbor's bird feeder as our paintball target. Needless to say, our neighbors didn't like us. We had a basketball hoop that split a shared parking space with a light on top. So summer nights consisted of us with a bunch of our friends playing hoop well into the morning. Although she had room in her driveway, the neighbor insisted on parking her car in front of the hoop. She had this little gray car, and if there was enough of us, we were able to pick it up and move it to the side. She then parked her Chevy Blazer there, and we weren't able to move that. See, this is why Bones is such a great guy. Even when we're doing bad things, he wanted to do it a little nicer. He shut down slashing the tire, but okayed letting the air out. Unfortunately for the neighbor, despite Bones' efforts, the crew who executed didn't know what they were doing and still ruined the tires. We also had an 18-hole chipping course that weaved in and out of neighbors' yards and around their cars. The neighbors' cars lined the right side of the 18th hole. One day, our buddy Freed steps up to 18. Freed, what was that, like 60, 70 yards? So still a 9-iron for you? With the course record on the line and sweaty palms, he ends up shanking one directly into the neighbor's car, breaking their taillight. While this is all going down, Jasper, our black lab, was on the run causing his own mayhem. The day would end with him either in doggy jail or us going down to the beach to pull him out of the lake. There was typically a concerned citizen in a Speedo asking if we were going to pick up the pile of shit he left in the middle of the beach. It usually ended with, "Sorry, don't have a bag, I'll get it next time." Realizing it wasn't the best idea to keep us at home while at work, Mom and Dad bought us junior golf memberships. On our way to work, Mom would drop us off at the course. Our memberships didn't allow us to play until noon, so we spent the first 4 hours chipping and putting, and then from noon on playing as many holes as possible. Most days would end in an argument over who won. It's amazing after all these years how some things don't change. To this day, we still argue, mostly golf-related. However, it trickles into other areas as well. For context, do odds reset each roll in roulette? Statisticians would argue yes. However, Bones argues the contrary, and in fact, has a methodology to prove otherwise. In typical Bones fashion, he ignores all objective data points and is convinced raising his voice supports his argument. Bones, as I was writing this speech and reflecting on our incredible childhood, it also served as a reminder to the impact you've had on my life. Growing up, especially in the early days, all I wanted to do was hang. So much so when I was 6 and finally had my own room, I remember not wanting to sleep in it. Fortunately for you, you never had to count 100 sheep. I just asked 100 questions. I was so used to doing everything you did, when it came to look for a college, I cut the search short and then ended up going to URI and studying finance like you did. Dad always said there's no value like a state school. You're welcome, Tone. The big Oh, is in-state? Oh, that's what it was. Should have went in-state. I get it now, thanks. College. The big little brother relationship quickly turned into being best friends. And now when I look back on it, there's been no bigger influence in my life than you. You've turned into an incredible person and truly one of the kindest people I know. There's no doubt in my mind the dream box you've been building will continue to turn into reality. As a brother and best friend, I love you, and as a mentor, I say thank you. Nikki. First off, you look beautiful tonight. The first time I met you was at Kirsten's college graduation, and you were giving a speech on behalf of the graduating class. I remember seeing this confident young woman with a great story about the difficult and fun times you had with your fellow classmates. Today, you're still the same confident woman, which is why you're so successful in your career. However, I quickly realized there are limitations. If I can be honest here, there's no way you'd ever win the game Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? The difference between a state, a state's capital, and a continent is a complicated puzzle that will never make sense in your head. We've had some amazing times together over the years, from living a couple blocks apart in New York City to the nights of drinking way too much wine at my parents' house. Doesn't matter the event, you're always a good time. One of my favorite weekends together was the weekend you and Bones got engaged. Chris and I spent the weekend at your mom's house. Quickly, I realized how much you and I have in common. We both have Aunt Shellys who remind us the 80s were a hell of a decade. The first time I met your Aunt Shelly was Saturday night of that weekend. We ended up going out in Foxwoods and spent the entire night dancing. Aunt Shelly danced so hard she physically couldn't get off the couch the next day to say bye. A few months later, I said hi to her at your bridal shower, and she reintroduced herself. Again, reminding us the 80s were a hell of a decade. That was the first weekend I was able to spend an extended amount of time with Mama Hughes, AKA Ms. Steffi. The Z's are synonymous with rock and roll and leather T-bird jackets. I remember listening to stories about how hard your mother worked to raise you and Beaver, and what became apparent to me was that loving heart. I know it's that heart that made Bones fall in love with you. I also know it's that heart that's going to keep you guys together. There's no doubt in my mind the love that your mother has shared with you will be the same you share with your children someday. You and Bones are special people, and I can't wait to see the beautiful life you both continue to build. I also can't wait to spend it along your side. I know one day we'll all be in our rocking chairs watching our grandkids play, saying how truly blessed we are. Now please, join me for a toast to the new Mr. and Mrs. Russo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner.